Yo, what is up, everybody? I am super excited today. I have a special guest. Let me bring him up. See if we got you. PB,
What's up?
PB in the house. If you guys don't know, this is PB. PB Invest. What's your Twitter, by the way?
PB Investing at PB Investing
At
on
PV
all
Investing.
socials.
Yeah, man. This guy is huge, by the way. If you don't know, 16-year-old day trader, man. And we've been doing spaces together, I think like once a week, kind of like the midweek watch list, which by the way, dude, I love the lineup that you've had every week.
Thank
And we
you.
always give like some like really killer plays out there. But this is the first time that I'm going to announce we're actually going to do a legitimate partnership, and we're going to be co-hosting, or he's putting on a huge lineup next Sunday, calling it New Age Summer Slam, and we'll pull this up here in a second. But yeah, PB, you want to give him a quick kind of lowdown? This is what it looks like. Oop, there it is. So New Age Summer Slam, we have Jake Wojastik, who, by the way, if you guys don't know, this guy is on like Canadian board of technical analysts. Like he's always doing some crazy presentations. Stratton's on. We got a huge crew, man. FS Trades, one of our key crews. I love that guy, by the way. But yeah, you want to give him a quick high level PB about what you have set up and what you got going on here?
Sure. So basically, we'll be doing the New Age Summer Slam this Sunday. It's going to be basically a one-day mastermind. Everything you need to know about trading in less than 5 hours from A to Z. It's going to be honestly insane. It's like if you've been looking to learn how to trade, this is your time. So basically what it's going to be doing is it's a 5-hour webinar. We have me, FS Trades, Brett Simba, Tanner, Jake Wojastik, Flavio, LED, Stratton Oak, Paper Gains, and potentially another guest speaker.
Oh, you got a secret one.
Yeah, we have a speaker on our working on right now.
Nice.
And then the topics really gonna be. I'm gonna be going over my trading strategy from A to Z, how I find stocks to trade, and my trading strategy with pre-market levels and VWAP. FS is gonna be going over swing trading, a mix of using AVWAPs, how he makes his trend lines. And if you guys don't know, FS Trades is one of my mentors. Like I'm really, really close with him. So it's great to have, my mentor teaching this thing. Next, we have Brett Simba, the one and only Brett. He'll be teaching about fibs and extensions.
Nice.
We have Tanner. He'll be talking about raw price analysis, reading every candle by candle. We have Jake Wojastik, the man, the myth, the legend.
Dude, this guy, I didn't know him before I started jumping in on spaces with him, but that guy, first of all, his charts are crazy clean. And I mean, like some of the cleanest charts out there I've seen for sure. But yeah, he's the real deal for sure. I mean, it's a huge lineup, dude. I mean, huge lineup. I know that you spent, a couple months putting everybody together and getting all the schedules locked in. So, and by the way, we can't forget our boy LED, who is out there for sure. So yeah, man.
And our closer, Paper Gains.
Paper
Gains. You guys don't know, now you know. He'll be talking about options Greeks, picking the best options, and one of his biggest weeks.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool the way it's set up. Just in my opinion, everyone's got their own kind of like this is what they're really good at, and so we've basically put them together and say, hey, let's give a quick hour-long kind of like deep dive mastermind, if you will, onto our specialties. And it's set up so like you go from top down, right? Like price action, everything, and all come in at the end for options, like picking the right options contracts. I mean, we give a lot of, let's call them watch lists, like trigger above this, below that, look for this. But it's not very prescriptive in terms of like exactly what to buy, when to buy, that kind of stuff. But we're going to give you the sauce essentially this weekend, man. So I'm again super excited. Appreciate the invite to PB. I mean, it's going to be pretty cool, man. So
yeah, for sure. And also by purchasing the webinar, you also get to trade live with me for 1 month straight. You get 20 plus educational recordings, 2 past webinars that we've done. So much more educational content, AMAs, and so much more. If you're interested, link is pinned in my bio. Paper Gains also has a link if you guys want to support.
Yeah, I put it in the description of the YouTube channel, and then I'll load it to the this Twitter link too. But again, here's a quick overview. This is what we're looking at. New Age SummerSlam. Here's your lineup. Starts August 6th. That's a Sunday, about 4 p.m. Eastern, right, Phoebe?
Yeah, and it will be live and recorded. So if you can't make it, but you still want to learn everything about trading from A to Z, it'll be recording and sent to you the morning after of the webinar. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us DMs.
Very cool.
My DMs are open.
Right on, man. So I guess, appreciate you coming on. If you want to hang out, PB, I'm going to hop into our weekly trade plan. So every week, by the way, if you're new watching this, I know PB, you might have retweeted this, but if anybody's new, sometimes I'll pin this link into our midweek watch list when we do our space with later on in the week. But essentially, I trade for a living. This is my profession. I don't do anything else. So like if I don't make money in the market, then I don't make money this week. And that's just kind of how it is. So what we do every Monday, just like you would if you were in corporate America, every Monday you have a team meeting and you kind of go over what happened last week. We go over like the major market moving events. We go over a couple of focus trades for the week. What are we specifically looking for? What to watch out for? Any pitfalls in the market? So I'm going to go ahead and hit that. And again, PB, appreciate you stopping in. And if you have any trades, we're going to I'm going to run through market catalysts and the economic calendar pretty quickly. And then we'll get into focus trades if you have anything, if you want to hang on.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it, man. All right. So last week, really quick, consumer confidence. That was one of the big headlines. If you didn't know, there was a couple. Consumer confidence actually hit a 2-year high. So right now, while there's like a ton of bears screaming for pullbacks, what's true is that spending is actually going up. Consumer confidence is at a 2-year high. And like while all this is happening, we just did our 11th rate hike in a row to 5.5%, right? So we're at max. I mean, not max, but like we're at peak interest rates. We're at peak confidence right now. What Powell did say on last week's FOMC, and this is essentially the major highlight of the week, everybody was really like cheeks clenched waiting for Wednesday, right? So what happened if you missed the speech? He did raise rates, right, as expected, quarter basis point. We're exactly priced in perfectly to the market. And so we knew that the commentary was really going to be the biggest thing. Most of what you're going to pull out of that is really that, look, he said credit conditions are slightly tighter. We're going to stay the course, of course, right? And if risks emerge, then the Fed will adjust. So what does that mean? Like what risks would emerge? Is that he doesn't want to raise rates too high so that they're too restrictive and then the economy doesn't continue to rebound. Right now, GDP is fueling this whole soft landing storyline. And if you didn't know, probably about 6 months ago, the Fed had a negative GDP forecast for the back half of this year. That was significant negative forecast. That entire situation has completely changed. They no longer have that forecast whatsoever. So even the Fed, there is nobody on the Fed that's actually forecasting a recession anymore. It's just not there. Oh, forgot to get this chat here. All right, if you guys have any things in chat, just pop it in. Again, there was one kind of outlier that was like, I think it was Thursday afternoon that the market was not expecting, and that was the Bank of Japan. And what that was about, if you didn't know, YCC is yield, stands for yield curve control, and the BOJ, or Bank of Japan, has kept their rates at a very static rate for forever, like since like they've had this policy, I mean, like a decade, and them changing that could potentially be a massive moving catalyst for the whole market. And it does affect our market. So even though most people don't think, oh, what does Japan have to do with the US market? The last time there was a major change out there, it did make a huge dent in our market. And I think Thursday was like a 2% move. I don't even think that was smaller than the last one. So things to watch out for is, like Germany, Eurozone, they have a couple other rate decisions coming out this week. They're not going to be as impactful as Bank of Japan. That has passed now, so it's kind of like out of the way. Essentially what they did is they opened up their 10-year bond so they control the rate of their 10-year bond. Whereas for us, we kind of let the market decide. So the Fed the Fed monitors or manages the Fed funds rate. But in the open market, the market can decide whatever it wants to be. So like if you're looking at TLT, well, the Fed does not control what the rate is on TLT, the market does. In Japan, it's different. And so they actually opened it up for a little bit and decided, well, the market started seriously moving their 10-year yield, and they shut it down for a little bit and said, hold on, that was too much of a move. We're going to stop this for a second. And they pulled back a little bit. So just as a side note, if you do see headlines this week out of Bank of Japan, it is definitely something to be mindful of and be super cautious, right? We saw that big 2% move on Thursday, completely reversed Friday. But it doesn't mean that that's completely over. For right now, it's not something that I want to be super cautious of, but like if I see the headline, we need to be aware, hey, we got to pivot for a little bit. For this quarter's earnings, by the way, so I track the Dow 30, the top 30 components of the stock market every quarter. And so this is 4 quarters of data so far. Right now, we got 18 companies have reported and beat. Who is my third that missed? I have 2 that missed, and I didn't. Oh, I have Goldman Sachs here. Goldman Sachs was actually a miss. 1 second. So Goldman Sachs missed. Literally everyone else beat. So Goldman Sachs, Travelers Insurance, those are the only 2 misses. We know Boeing was a huge beat. Meta was a huge beat. Just kind of consolidating right now on both of these. So typically, again, give it that 3-day kind of rule. Let the IV burn off. And then we should likely see a a continuation move after this. Actually, Fifi, do you have any headlines that you guys were watching in your group at all that you want to point out? I know there was another one about Coinbase today too that did hit my radar, but Coinbase actually heading higher on the headlines today. I think it was SEC asked them to stop trading everything except for Bitcoin, and the stock went up. So
we're watching has earnings this week. Also Shopify.
Yeah, those are 2 big ones. So that's a good trend. So here's the calendar, right? So Unity Software, that is going to be, what day is that? So Wednesday after the close, as well as Shopify. These are huge.
PayPal too.
Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of eyes are going to be on Amazon and Apple. What I would say is like Amazon is a big mover, historically speaking. Apple is not actually. So if I were to pick one over the other, I would not have a directional trade on Apple. I think that's probably going to be an IV crush play. We had SoFi, by the way, report this morning. That was also a huge mover. So that guy, man, what's SoFi at right now? SoFi, I know our buddy Jaguar has been all over this. SoFi, hitting almost $12 this morning. 1180, 1170. Yeah, another 52-week high on this guy. Sorry, I have like 7 screens in front of me right now.
You're good. Actually, on Apple earnings, something I like to do a lot is since it's usually relatively flat, what happens is the premiums get crushed at the open. So Friday at open, premiums, if Apple stays flat, will be crushed. And if Apple earnings are good, I'll trade the IV flush to the upside, meaning say at 9:30 a.m. the calls get crushed, but the stock's moving up, then I'll trade some calls. And I've done this the last 2 earnings, and it works pretty well both times, just trading that IV flush on Apple.
Yeah, AMD is going to be another super interesting one too. So on the calendar, I would say Pfizer likely flat. Everybody knows I have a position there. I do have a position in Uber, equity position. By the way, I think that this thing is gonna. I can't really say what the trade would be, but I would not bet on a downside trade for Uber, and it's actually a pretty big mover typically. AMD, we know. Pinterest, that's a tough one for me. Starbucks, I think flat. And I know a lot of people are betting on PayPal right now, just from a trading perspective. What I'll say about PayPal, and if you're, if anybody trades with me on a regular basis, it's having a pretty big move up to the upside. Just today, breaking out of that prior consolidation. So congrats if you were long. The thing about PayPal is that the COO and the CEO both left on their last call, right? And so they left. I know there is an activist investor in there, but they don't have any active leadership. So if there was something to happen, I don't think PayPal's price action is going to be based on their results. I think that what people are probably watching for right now is like, who's the new leadership team going to be? And if they announce that, yeah, maybe it'll be announced on the earnings call. It'll be an extremely binary event. Maybe some, like excitement on whoever, if a team is announced at all, who they could be. But yeah, probably not. Probably doesn't have anything to do with their actual earnings or anything like that. Robinhood, super long. By the way, that thing's having another good day today. And also long WBD. I believe, oh, they're going to kill me on this one because I own a lot of Warner Brothers. I believe that Warner Brothers was in the Barbie movie. It was Mattel. Yeah, it was Warner Brothers and Mattel. So little known fact, Warner Brothers teamed up with Mattel to release the one hit this year, which, who'd have thought is Barbie, the movie. That's been the only blockbuster that's actually hit any kind of records. Everything else has been more or less a dud. So congrats to Warner Brothers. I'm already long there. It's having a good day. A little bit of continuation also. DraftKings been on a tear. I think that's it. Fubo. I don't know about Fubo. Fubo has been on a tear this morning. If you haven't looked at that ticker for a while, the thing is trading about $3. Yeah, we'll see. Super Lotto actually breaking structure. Total speculation on that guy. But I think those are the ones I'm interested in for right now. And then I'll likely play a handful of earnings trades on that. Moving forward, though, this week on the calendar. So basically, this was the major recap of the data points, PCE, GDP here. So we talked about GDP briefly. This has been the biggest mover, right? So again, GDP growth rate was consensus was at 1.8%. We actually came in at 2.4. So if you guys are looking at economic calendars or trying to understand what does all this data mean, again, the only thing that moves markets, and this is applicable for earnings also, it doesn't matter what happened the quarter before or whatever that prior data point was. That's irrelevant. The only thing that moves a market is how far something comes in from consensus. And in this case, this GDP growth rate, right? 2.4% is what actually came in. 1.8 was the consensus. That is a massive difference right there. And that alone, that's the one metric right now that's driving this whole market higher. And honestly, with the Fed forecasting, not having any more recession forecasts, all of that's essentially gone. This one right here has been the major driver. So this is pointing us to a soft landing. We'll see, right? Personal spending, this is one slightly higher than consensus. So again, income also slightly higher. So everything's doing well, and it's looking pretty moderate. So just any kind of random headlines, I would be more or less cautious for. But for right now, I'm expecting a slow grind, maybe a little chop fest to the upside, but very slow grind higher. We did have PCE come in Friday also. So that's that personal consumption expenditure. So what are we actually spending? So remember, PCE is like the demand part of the supply and demand curve. And again, it's slightly, this actually came in exactly for the monthly, came in exactly in line, 4.1 for the year. So nothing major to move a market. This week though, here we go. So this week, nothing today, really nothing tomorrow. ISM manufacturing, if you didn't know, I can pull this up a little bit, is actually slightly lower. Here's the calendar. So ISM manufacturing 46. So anything under 50 here is in a contraction mode. For GDP to really increase, we actually tomorrow want to see this manufacturing PMI come in higher. Right now, it's still under 50. Once we start getting numbers here that are over 50, that means the economy is officially in expansion mode, and we should be off to the races if we do get that. Jolts quits, I don't think is going to move a market. Really nothing really. Wednesday, we have ISM services. ADP came in completely off last week, by the way, forecast at 210 last week. That this number can maybe move a market. I think after last month, not last week, after last month's kind of debacle, maybe the market will remember that ADP is horrible at forecasting NFP. But Friday we get the actual. This is Thursday, ISM services. Friday we get the actual headline number, and so this is going to be, again, if you trade with me, you guys know non-farm payrolls is the most important number of every month that we get in the economic calendar. What we're going to do is we mark that day's high and that day's low, and that will give us the direction for the remainder of the month. This is 100% back tested, forward tested, not 95% accurate. This is 100% accurate. If we're trending above that day's high, let's say 2 days high, 2 days above that, 2 or 3 days, whatever, right? Just mark that line. The market is in an uptrend. There's no argument. We're just going higher. Whether or not it's higher faster or just chopping higher, we're going higher. We're not in a downtrend. Below that day's close, below that day's low, then yeah, okay, we start looking at some put side trades and maybe some downside stuff, but we're not going higher if we do start trending below Friday's low. Cool. So again, Friday, most important number of the week, of the month, every month, coming in at 190. I don't think it's going to be a big market mover. I just think that for this one, that price point, that's going to be the biggest thing to look at. That's pretty much what I have for this one. So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to load up some indices and just give us a couple ranges right now for the week. And I'm going to use a 30-minute calendar or 30-minute time frame to get my analysis out. Let this any day. Okay, on a 30-minute. This view gives me a good bird's eye view. I can get a couple months worth of data on something like this. These orange boxes, if you guys remember, these are average weeks ranges. I'm going to pull this back just for a little bit because I don't need some of these lines. And again, check this out. So this is June's NFP candle. And so this is how important it is. So this is June's NFP candle right here, high and low. The second that we started trading above that high, we were just chopping higher for the rest of the month. And that's how it's going to be every single month. So for right now, we're running into a bit of a fair value gap from Thursday. And this is that BOJ sell-off, right? So this candle is that Bank of Japan news. So we want to be super cautious. We've now retraced that entire move. So 2% down, 2% right back up, kind of stall. And that I think is going to be pretty typical. And so from here, I'm just going to take a fib. So low to high, left to right. If I get a bounce here, what would a good bounce look like? And we had it a couple times right in here. So I'm going to look at this 455 level. And I'm going to pull this back to this top right here. I think this gap in the session gap here is filled. I like this 455. So 454.85. If we can stay above that, I think we chop, we can stay continuously chopping to the upside. And then we'll have to look at mark, let's say, Friday's high and low. In average week's range, let's say if this is the actual low for the week, I'm going to take this and do a quick line here. That's 463.89. I'm going to pull this back just slightly and see if that lines up to any kind of critical points. Actually, it does. So that's like this consolidation here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this guy. And load that up. So 462 has been that major. So that's that breakdown right here. 462 is going to be a huge level, man. Huge level. There is this fair value gap slightly higher here. But that would be a squeeze play, really. And then I got a volume shelf 456 and a double top. So I'll call this price of interest. Ooh. Which is exactly where we are today. Interesting. Interesting. All right. So for right now, I think, if we break any lower, this is today's opening range, probably a short side trade. Here's the pre-market pivot that we're just now breaking below as we speak. This is that pre-market low. Couple, like our buddy Ace calls these scout wicks. So target, we're short. This would be a short for now. It would be 456.15. Nothing crazy. Down to that 454.90, 454 and change level for that retrace. So target 1. And this would be target 2. 1, 2. Not much more than that. I'm looking at this. It looks very choppy still. Super chop day. Cool. Let me see. All right. I'm going to set up a couple other things. And if you guys have any kind of tickers that you want to take a look at, shoot it over and we'll get to them. Qs. So here are the Qs. Same kind of thing. Yeah. So this was that Thursday candle. We actually did get above that. I'm just going to look at, again, a 30-minute and then pull this fib. That'll put me at 378.90 and about this consolidation low. So right in this box. So if I can see a bounce somewhere in here, 380, if we could defend 380, that's still pretty bullish. And then that's the low. Upside for the week, 395. If this is the high, downside for the week would be that June NFP print of 370 on the Qs. Cool. So otherwise, IWM has been the winner for sure today. So this is the standout. These guys, if you guys don't remember, we've been watching this forever. We're coming up on 200 on IWM. I can't remember last time we were up here this high, but finally got our breakout. Let me get rid of some of these lines. Cool. Again, we're looking at this consolidation. 194 needs to hold for that, and then 205 to the upside would be an average week's range. Otherwise, if we fail, this could come from an average perspective all the way back down to that July. We're going to go July NFP number one more time down to like 188 and change. All right. That's it for now. Unless you guys have any other tickers. Let me just pull out a couple on the watch list. So I had one. So if IWM continues, I do have one that's on deck. I'm not gonna trade a whole lot that has earnings. I do have this guy. So Roblox has been on watch for a while. I wanted to see Roblox actually reclaim this consolidation. I had a trade on watch for Friday. It did not trigger. And so today we're actually kind of like rejecting the bottom of this consolidation here. So right now, not looking super strong whatsoever. I will say if this thing breaks below, if this thing gets below that prior low, it's a short for sure. Let's say 37.60 is a short. For right now, if you're short, that's fine. You could have a target of 38.25. But I probably wouldn't push it too much. The real short's not going to come until 37.60 on this guy. But again, reclaiming anything over 39.59, that is a clean long trigger on Roblox. So 39.56, 37.61 triggers to the short side or long side. I think, I have to say, I think this week we have a ton of stuff on deck. AMD is going to be really interesting in terms of earnings play. This one, Intel did, they reported just recently, and they don't have, and what they said basically was that, hey, PC sales are up, and that's where AMD really lives. So clear uptrend right now. Let's see this. breaking structure would be, so I need to do this. So here's our consolidation low. We're sitting on that. So we have this little wedge. If it gets maybe closer to the bottom, 108, somewhere in here, this is that consolidation low. It might chop around. Upside target right now would be this this wedge. But post earnings, if we get this kind of move, look, this thing could be a really good one. And I think one more, Disney. So Disney this morning had a huge move. Didn't catch a headline. So not sure what that one was about, but I know a lot of people have been having this one on watch. I actually would say that this is a short on Disney right now. We just tagged this 50-day moving average. That's this blue line right here. And rejected pretty hard. Also the top of this consolidation. So more back and fill for Disney. This earnings isn't until the second week of August. I think this is going to be one where I'm just patiently waiting. If we get over like 91 and change and hold it for a few days, sure, it's definitely an uptrend. I'm not in a rush to jump into this one. I think we get what's called like we were talking about this in the group, but a spring. Essentially, you have this huge consolidation, and I did see some people talking about RSI on this. I'm not going to get too in depth on this one, but I'm looking for like a liquidity flush, if you will, on something like this. So clear consolidation across the board. But if I pull this back, let's say here's a daily. Once, twice, we've had this liquidity flush down to like 79, 80 bucks, give or take, which ended up acting as what's called like a spring. So I'm looking for that kind of flush. I don't think it's going to come before earnings. It might come like after hours during earnings, but that's what I'd be looking for to go long on this. Something that's like a quick woof all the way down, tag that like sub 80 level, then go long up to that 120 plus. Cool. That is Disney. I think we're good, man. This week is going to be choppy. It's just how it always is. I would say this is a week where I don't want to press a whole lot of bets. If you're not having good luck buying your option contracts, think about selling them this week. That's what I'd say. This is a huge consolidation range, right? So right now we're looking at, so far 12 days of sideways action. I would expect the same. Honestly, this is very similar. This is very typical of any earnings season, just always chopping. So if you get your shots, we know where the levels are. It's that July NFP low. If we do break to the downside of this consolidation, that's going to be the major spot to go along. 440, give or take, right here. Anywhere in this box, this is your major value area right here. Below 438, this is just going back down to 4. That would be unfortunate, but that's what it would be. So remember, these NFP levels are going to be crucial. So after Friday, once we have our clean NFP numbers, then we'll go ahead and use those to trade off of. If we have that NFP low and we can't hold above it, then we start trading for the week down to that 438, 440 level. JB's got a question here. Company has hired Kevin Mayer, Tom Staggs, former Discovery execs. Each one considered as likely. What is this for Disney? Oh, this is for Disney. Yeah. Actually, I did hear about this. So these were people that I think that Iger had as potential like successors, but ended up leaving the company also. So I do remember hearing that this morning, but he's brought him back. So as consultants. So yeah, that's just part of their grand plan for sure. Look, I'm not super bearish on Disney by any means. I don't think that Bob Iger will risk his entire legacy on, look, this guy's legacy is Disney, and he's one of the greatest CEOs ever. Like, if you guys follow me, and we talked about GE. Larry Culp was like, again, financial genius. I'm like, Larry Culp, GE is going to turn around story. Look, Iger to Disney is like Elon to Tesla. I mean, he's like the heart of it. As long as he's there, I like the company. Right now, what happened? If you're not familiar, he went on an interview, CNBC interview, and basically said, "Look, I'm extending my stay, my term." And I'm doing it because, and that was about here. And I'm doing it because the problems were a lot worse than expected, and the market took that as like okay, well, it's a short because they're not going to be making any money. So this quarter, which is August 9th, there's no one on the street that expects this quarter to be good, right? The street expects the quarter to be bad, and it should be. What we're looking for is horrible numbers and for the price to go up. That'll tell us that the market has overstepped the downside, and the bottom is likely going to be in. So wherever that is, sub 85 would be good entries in general for me. If I can get really closer to 80, I would absolutely love that. For right now, you got a huge gap. You can trade your gap rules. Right now, you're looking half gap would be. This is about 87.50. If it can hold 87, let's call this is that there's a volume shelf right around 87. If you can hold this volume shelf at 87 today, this will likely chop to the upside heading into earnings. So half gap, this is what you want to see Disney hold today for that trend to continue. Otherwise, expect a small pullback here. And again, those contracts, if you're in options, those things are juiced for sure. Today, I'm gonna do a couple. So I have a couple of trades. KRE, man, KRE has been consolidating, still consolidating again. I was hoping to get like a breakout today, like I did on Halliburton. So if you're not familiar, energy has been on a tear this week. So many headlines this month today about energy being like the best month on record. But if you're looking at, here's the market, here are the 7 sectors of market. Look, who's performing the best? Energy, right? Would you have thought that? Probably not. For a 5-day period, you got communication. This is Google. This is Meta. Those are big earnings. Not really a lot of earnings. This thing is getting 1.8%. That's without earnings as catalyst, doing pretty good. For the full month, where are we? Industrials up 5%. Energy. For the entire month, the best performing sector, energy. Are you trading it? Probably not. Not many people are, but it is the best performing sector, believe it or not. So keep your eyes there. I think that's got continued strength. And again, with, really, with the overall, here's crude. So crude hitting 81 right here, 81.76. I had a fair value gap. That's a big deal level. That's from right here. We haven't seen these type of levels since, what's the date on this? April. So if it can break out, it's going to be a big deal. 83 is the breakout though. I think this will probably still consolidate, but just the same, there are some companies in this, it's OIH is the sector, oil services. Check out this chart, right? There's no consolidation here. This chart doesn't need oil to be breaking out to new highs. I've been a big fan of this one. Halliburton and Schlumberger are the 2 largest components, HAL, SLB. It's not called Schlumberger anymore. It's just SLB. Biggest components of this sector. And just pull this sector back. There's a lot of room to go. And we're entering a huge, massive volume shelf right now. Do I trade this? That is a huge volume shelf. I gotta say, this is just the sector. That's to like 500. Oh, maybe this is the big watch for the week. But yeah, if you're not on the earnings, you gotta have this on watch. This is where we are. This prior consolidation, prior top here. This is a clean change of character, not a break of structure. Clean change of character. We should have this guy. Little fair value to 355. Almost look at these little blips on this chart are huge dollars. So wild. 360, call it 360 fair value. So we should hit 360. And then I want to see like some kind of pullback and hold that 340 level. And this thing should be off and to the races. That's a big deal for the entire sector. Cool. So focus sector, oil services. So HAL, I'm open. I have a trade open in this one right now. Looking for this to break here, consult and continue on to the upside. I think that's good. SLB is your next largest component. This thing. Yeah, it looks like it's trying to break out today. It's a big mover too. These things are huge, man. 59. And then if I do this, I'm just going to do a quick take these highs. That brings you to about 70 plus. You got a couple gaps to fill. There's a gap in here. Oh, man. Yeah, 70. If you get this break over 58. There's this thing whenever a stock gets up over 78, it goes straight to 100 too. So I would not be surprised to see this thing traded at 100 at the end of the year. Just saying. Here we are at 58. What would that be if we do get that? Call it 70%, 60% upside. Very possible. Cool. All right, guys. That's it for me for right now. I'm going to have a space. I'm going to be on a space later today with Wolf. As always, we're going to go over stock picks for the week. I'm going to hop into the servers and see if we can catch any back half trades and then set up for the rest of this week's swings. I think a lot of earnings this week. I'm just expecting a lot of chop in general. Focus on energy again. And that is mostly it for me. All right, guys. Adios. I'll see you on the next one.